Question, can anybody answer a question? What's the school board stance on this?
Steve Zeltzer, and I'm with the Repeal Charter Coalition, and this press conference here today has been to bring people together to let the community and let labor know about the Adams Middle School seal, possible seal, and what it means to public education, and what it means to the teachers, and also what it means to working people. And I went to school in public education in California, and California used to have the greatest schools in the world in California. They should have. And we have a lot of wealth in California, and we feel that basically there's been a propaganda campaign against teachers, blaming them for the crisis in education, and that students are being shortchanged because California actually is 47th in amount of funding for education. And some of the people who are opposing more funding for education are the same people that want to buy the school. So they argue that they're for the kids, but then the billionaires who support the California Charter Association actually don't want more taxation on the wealthy in California. And there are over 100 billionaires in California. They can afford to pay money so the children can have the best education in the world. So we have some speakers from the community here and from labor talking about the issues that they're concerned about in the sale of this beautiful property for $60,000. I think some other offers have been made, $61,000, but it's a very valuable property, and Beller says that he's doing this for free. He's not being paid because he wants to help the community. And what we've discovered is that he actually has investments in education technology, software. So he may even be using his students to make money, more money for education. So these are some of the issues that we're going to discuss. Diane Maddox?
The reason I'm involved in the struggle is because it's actually very personal. I've taught for 30 years, and I've watched the hostile takeover of my public sector, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to stop it. And that's pretty much sums up how I feel about it.
Tim Lipscomb, I'm a senior organizer for the Northern California Carpenters.
All right.
And we just like to make a couple of points here. The Carpenters Union opposes the sale of Adams Middle School to Ron Beller and Caliber Schools, basically under 3 points. Number one, that there's no commitment to prevailing wages. Prevailing wages are a foundation for working people in any community. Number two, no commitment to apprenticeship and career pathways for our young people, men, women, minorities, returning veterans. Apprenticeship has always been an avenue for people in the local community to gain a gainful employment, to build a career, because not every student in school is going to be able to afford to go to college. So the building trades and the carpenters have always tried to produce career pathways for our young folks. Three, with no commitment to apprenticeship and training, there's no commitment to quality construction. Quality, seismically safe construction. Having experienced people build these schools is essential. West Contra Costa Unified School District has a great track record of doing good quality construction. They also have a track record of producing good quality pathways for our young folks. If we stand by and let Caliber Schools build these schools privately and bring in folks like Big D Construction from Utah that came in and built Aspire School and had no concern about putting local folks together, putting local folks to work, putting local folks into good quality career pathways of apprenticeship, and then ongoing training for those journeyman carpenters to work on those sites. That's what we do in the building trades. We build up our community by putting young folks to work and ongoing training for folks that work in the trade. We met with Ron Beller, and he said he couldn't make that commitment because there wasn't enough money. He only had $15 million. And could we donate money to his school? I said, what we can do is we can donate quality folks to build that school. I said, how can you skimp on quality construction I said, what's next? You'll skimp on teachers? He says, oh, already we can't afford to hire the best teachers. It's like, come on, man. Get your program together. Have a heart, have some faith in the community that we will come in. And even if you want to build these schools, if you look at this school and you think you're going to get a bid of, say, whatever the lowest possible bid it's going to be, I've done lots of remodel construction, and you don't know what you're going to get once you open up them walls, what you're going to find in there. So it's essential, I try to tell them, it's essential that you have a quality, quality general contractor that knows how to do this type of construction. So it's going to take a lot to get Ron to see the light, and I think it's a great thing that the community is standing together. I think it's a great thing that you folks are out here and that we bring light to the situation, because I'm telling you, Prop 39 is hurting our state, and it's going to hurt the public education system. So it's great to see everybody out here, and the Carpenters Local 152 opposes the sale of Adams Middle School to Caliber School. Thanks for coming out.
Hi, I'm Brian Adkins. I'm the pastor of Open Door United Methodist Church right here behind you. To say the least, this experience with Caliber Schools has been disheartening. I think it's been, I think that Caliber is very well organized, very well scripted, and I think they're really trying to push forward their agenda to the disregard of anyone else in the community, any parents, neighbors, anyone else with concerns here. And I'll just say that I wrote a letter to the school board on the 25th, and in it I mentioned that we had three key concerns. The first was that the neighbors have not been heard. This has been a closed door process. They've been talking about this for 18 months, and it wasn't until May 10th of this year that the neighbors were first engaged. So I think there's been no collaboration. The second point that I raised to them was that the United Methodist Church has for 300 years supported workers' rights to organize. We have concerns about the school not being built with union labor. We have concerns about teachers not being unionized. I think that there's a lot that could go wrong there, and we're starting off on the wrong foot if we take advantage of the workers. So that was my second concern. My third concern for them was that it seems to me that the business plan as it's been laid out by Caliber Schools relies pretty heavily on funding that comes along with students who receive free and reduced school lunches. They get additional funding for those students, and the business model that we saw relies pretty heavily on those students and the funding that comes along with them, and that to me is troublingly sounds like exploitation. It sounds like they're being taken advantage of. So those are my primary concerns. I appreciate the community being involved. I appreciate the unions speaking up. I don't know what's going to happen next. I think this is a long fight. I think that this is bigger than Adams Middle School. I think it's bigger than our school district. I think it's even bigger than the state of California. This is happening all across the country. And all I can say is that it behooves us to educate ourselves and be in dialogue and speak up. I will say that as a result of this proposed sale, that hundreds of the neighbors have come together in a way that I've never seen before. And I think that's a tremendous blessing. I think there's a lot of opportunity in that. And my message this morning was about perfect love casting out fear. And I think that those in power, those trying to organize, use fear as a tactic to scare people into staying in their place. And I think that love calls us out of that. I think love calls us to liberation, to truth, to seek truth when it's hidden. And I hope that we'll continue to build relationships with one another and be able to oppose this sale, but also to oppose the charter movement when it's taking advantage and destroying communities. So we stand together. That's all I can say. So thank you.
My name is Carlos Taboada, and I'm a retired teacher, and we are a small group here, but we are a small group of committed people that know why we are here, and we know what we are fighting against. And we are fighting against a nationwide drive to grab the hefty sum of $55 billion. That is the money that is invested in primary and secondary education every year in this country. And that's what these corporate vulture capitalists want. They want our money. And in this case, they want our school. They want our school building. And the laughable thing here is not that they are offering $60,000 for this multi-million-dollar facility. The laughable thing is that this facility is for sale. That is what should anger us, that it is for sale. And a small group of committed people is what it takes. It's what it takes to initiate a movement and to change society. This is the first time that members from the trade union, from the teachers union, and from the community are together. See, keep that in mind. This is the first time that we, all of us, come here together to fight this corporatization of our system of public education. And I just want to remind all of us, teachers, community members, union members, that when we commit ourselves in this struggle against charter schools, we are also making a commitment to change our district, okay? Because our district also has some big flaws that need to be addressed. And it's not just a fight against charter schools, it's a fight to make our district work for us, yes, for the community. So thank you very much, and we'll see all of you, I hope, next Wednesday at 6:30, okay, at the La Bonne de Jean, to let this board that we won't be intimidated, and that they should not let themselves be intimidated by the $1 million, you know, Bel Air, what's her name? Bel Air Moses, you know, the power couple. What a laugh.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I went to the school back in 2010, graduated here in 2003, and when I went to the school was a public school, meaning it was open to everybody to come. It didn't matter what your income was, it didn't matter how smart you were, what your test scores were. This was a public school. It was open up to all students in the area, and one of the troubling things that with my experience with charter schools is I have a member part of an organization I'm with called ACE. And they explained to me that they had a little sister, intelligent, Pat gets good grades all the time, and they decided that she wanted to go to a charter school. But before she could get into the charter school, she had to take a test. And when she took that test, they came back to her and said, "Oh, you failed the test, you're not allowed in our school." Is that really promoting education or uplifting our kids in the community by saying either pass the test or you're not included? When you start to privatize our education, you start to create a divide saying like only the worthy, only the more privileged can come to these schools. Everybody else, you can't get the best quality education. And the other trouble is about with charter schools is that if you have that kind of divide and you are not paying attention to our public school sector, you're going to have all these charter schools taking over our public schools, and then where are the rest of our kids in Richmond going to go? What is the quality of education going to be for the kids? Education is a right to everybody. It's not a privilege. And this guy, Beller, I don't know who he is, but he's a businessman, and it sounds like he's been involved in the foreclosure crisis, which put a lot of people homeless, millions and millions of people homeless nationwide. What is his qualification to actually care about education in Richmond? Why does he care about the education in Richmond? Where is his investment? Is he a philanthropist? I doubt it. Because a real philanthropist would have a school board meeting actually where the community is at, not in Mount Olympus somewhere in San Francisco. The point is, the thing about charter schools, if you know a lot about charter schools and how they act, or if you know a little bit about charter schools, which I do, charter schools is a business. And like all businesses do, they're only concerned about their bottom line. What kind of profits are they going to be bringing and lining up their pockets? He's not doing this for free. He's doing this to make money off of our kids by advertising, oh, this great education institution that's only draining our community and draining the public school sector to where it's going to leech it away until there's nothing left. And it's important that everybody is out here today because we need our public schools, because at the end of the day, education is a right, not a privilege. And no kid should be told that you are not smart enough to go to school. Everyone deserves and needs to go to school so they can have the same opportunities as anybody else to be a part of society. So when I went here, this was a public school, and me personally, my vision is if these doors open up, I want it to be opened up as a public school again, because one of the slogans that they always had here after every morning's announcements, they said, "Welcome to Adams, you Adams Falcons, where the sky is the limits." And I only want the skies to be limited to every kid in the public to come to a public school. Thank you.
I'd like to start off by saying that a philanthropist would not divide a school district. It would provide, all the money that they're putting into charter schools should be put into the public schools to make the public schools better. All the pedagogy, curriculum that they think is good for the charter schools could be instituted in the public schools. So why the divide? And the divide is there because they want to privatize education. They want to be in charge of what our kids learn. They want to be able to tell our kids what's right, what's wrong, how to think, and that's what they're doing. Now, charter schools claim to be public schools, but at the same time, they're saying that they can't follow public school rules. For instance, the law states that a school cannot be rebuilt or built on a fault line. So this school happens to be on a fault line, which means that if they were following school rules, this site could not be used for a school site for anyone, public, private, as long as they get public monies. The other thing is that the charter schools have been building schools without following, without going under the guidelines of the state architecture. All public schools have to be okayed by the public school architecture department. Charter schools aren't. So they're able to build cheaper because they're not building according to the codes that are assigned to public schools. That's the Field Act. The Field Act says that it has to be done by all plans have to be approved by the state. Charter school plans are not. So if they're actually public schools, they need to follow public rules. So I've been visiting the charter schools to be able to compare them to public schools, and basically they're doing the same thing public schools are doing. There's really not any difference in the curriculum or the way that they do things. So why is there such a big divide? And it all goes back to profit and privatizing education. We need to stop the charter school movement. And the charter school movement is buying parents. And by buying parents, they're dividing the community. They're segregating parents who are informed, parents who know how to work the system, from parents who are too busy to do all that needs to be done in order to get their kids into a better school or to make the schools that they're going to a better place. So by segregating the parents, segregating the students from students with parents who can advocate, from students with parents who don't have the time or the knowledge or are afraid to engage with the school district, we end up with two different types of students. And we need to be together. We need to be whole, and we can do that by stopping the charter schools. And we do that legally by making sure that they follow the same rules that that the regular schools follow. We in Richmond are going to make sure that any schools that are built in Richmond follow the state rules that are, and we're going to make sure that if any new schools are built, that they will be registered and checked by the State Department. So any ideas that you have that you can give us as city legislators, share it with us, because we're here to serve you, and We can only do that with your help. So if you come up with any ideas, I'm happy to hear them and to help you write them out and get them passed. Thanks.
I'm a teacher at Neestrom Elementary in West Richmond, and I've been there 10 years. And right on the corner, on the same block, is also Richmond College Prep for 10 years. And they have been culling our students, the ones who do well on the tests, the ones with a lot of family support, the ones with good attendance. Every year we see our kids, our top kids, performing kids on the test, wooed over to Richmond College Prep. And in the meantime, I've taught a class with up to 5 kids, African American boys, who say that they self-described as being kicked out of Richmond College Prep. That was 1 year. We've had kids, there was one student who was started out at Richmond College Prep, sent over to us because she hadn't learned to read. And she learned to read at Neestrom. She went back to Richmond College Prep, but she was a big behavior problem. And they sent her back for 4th grade to Neestrom. She graduated from Neestrom. Her sister stayed there. Her sister didn't have the same issues. So yes, it's 2-tier education, and the kids know it. That's the heartbreaking thing. Richmond College Prep was funded with, from a class action suit against a fire at the plastics factory that was a couple blocks away from Neestrom. And the lawyer who settled the case started a charter school, started Richmond College Prep. So 2-tier education. This district had an enormous debt that they had to pay off. Teachers took a 9% cut 20 years ago. And then the crash of 2008 came, and our school size, our class sizes increased. The kids had no art, no music, no one sports program, no librarians, I think it's 5 nurses for 52 schools. I mean, the money's finally coming back, and we have on the school board this pro-charter school majority that was put in. $558,000 was spent on our school race, which according to Ballotpedia was the most money spent on any school district school race in the United States. And I think it's criminal that our kids, when the money's coming in, that money is being diverted for the 2 parallel school districts in a way, and 2 systems, and our students who are the most needy, homeless issues, joblessness, kids whose families are evicted, etc. Those schools, the local public schools that teach our kids, we don't have the money. We still don't have the money because the charters are diverting all of this. And I just want to point out one quick fact about how just the construction of this charter school, Beller said he was going to put $24 million into it. That money can all be recouped. He can double that investment in 7 years with the new market tax act. Richmond is designated as one of the areas, the whole city is designated as one of the areas that qualify for this special tax credit. There's many tax credits associated with charter schools. There's many ways for very savvy vulture capitalists to make money off of this system, privatizing our schools.
Members of the Teachers Union and Carpenters Union, other unions, the community, city officials, the pastor. I know a lot of people will be sleeping in on Sunday or going to church, and I know I missed church, but I feel like I had church today with all of you speaking and also with the pastor, so I don't feel too bad for missing church today. So everybody has different pieces of the puzzle, so everybody has a little different information to share, and there's so much I could say, but one thing I did want to talk about was a couple Thursdays ago, the union sent me down to LA, and I was around a table with the president of the LA Unified School District, the president of the San Diego Unified, back that up. I was around the table with the president of the LA Teachers Union, the San Diego Teachers Union, the San Bernardino Teachers Union, and then there was me there because the president of UTR couldn't make it. So I was kind of there to help our president out. But what I found out was charter schools have cost LA Unified School District $500 million so far this year. That's billion with a B. I'm not misspeaking. So far this year, charter schools have cost the LA Unified School District $500 million. So they did an independent auditor did a fiscal impact report of charter schools, and they published the report. And it's online. If you Google the real cost of charters, LA Unified School District, it will come up. So LA Unified School District is now at serious risk of not being solvent anymore. And they lost $500 million, not just through losing students, but through oversight costs. Lots of oversight costs that went, that the district did not get reimbursed for. So there's hidden costs of charter schools that even the district wasn't aware of, money they were losing. One of the oversight costs had to do with co-location. So the district had to oversee charter schools occupying the same buildings with traditional public schools, and that cost the district money. There were also special education costs that the district incurred, all kinds of costs, personnel costs. And at the end of the day, the district was the one footing the bill for all of this. So what I'm asking is that we all call for a moratorium on charter schools and West Contra Costa Unified School District at least until the district completes a fiscal impact report. The district needs to complete a fiscal impact report so we can know what the financial impact of charter schools are. Because as a parent, I would have a hard time looking another parent in the eye and telling them you shouldn't be able to choose where your kid can go to school. I actually personally believe that parents can choose where they want to send their children. I don't have an issue with parent choice. As a public school teacher, I'm committed to making our public schools destination schools, places where people want to come. I'm dedicated to improving education outcomes for all students. But as a concerned citizen, I worry that charter schools could realistically end up bankrupting our school district. So please come June 15th to the school board meeting and ask for a moratorium on charter schools and ask for the district to do an independent audit of the real cost of charter schools in West Contra Costa Unified School District. Thank you.
I just want to talk briefly about how charters really are eroding democracy. We know democracy is eroding in our country. Think of all the barriers to voting that we see arising. But right here, LCAP, Local Control Accountability Plan, for the first time, California really does have democratic input into its local school spending through local control funding formula and the plan that controls it. Problem is, we're having serious LCAP functional difficulties because we can't get parents on the school site councils to make these decisions. We'd have because the educationally interested parents, many of them are being drained off. We need this parent interest in our democratic machinery that's been recently established under local control. That's being drained, destroying democracy right here.
We don't know when it will be agendized, and we don't know when the vote will take place. We do know that it's going to be discussed in closed session, and I might need some help on this. And you can speak before closed session, which starts at, I believe, 5 o'clock, and you can say whatever you have to say then. They will have a conversation in closed session. They will not do any voting. Information that we have from Caliber, because they're rallying their parents for 2 weeks later, which would be the 29th. So we have to make a decision. Do we want people to show up now or show up then? We need to show up both times. And as I've said in some of my writing, this is just a domino, and now we're all starting to see the dominoes are falling all over the place. And we do need to make a stand. And Eduardo, we have to do something about altering the law. And most of this won't happen quickly. You know, we have to have a new governor because our governor is pro-charter.
Yes.
And we have to have people who are now freshmen re-elected so that they will have the opportunity and the strength to write legislation. Tony Thurman's already writing something about affordable housing for teachers. I got involved in this whole thing because this is where I want the affordable teaching. When I started working for the district 50 years ago, I lived at 6076 Arlington. I know what it's like when this place is going full blown. That's enough.
Okay, solidarity.